The humble bride marries the poor man, but he's the secret mafia heir no one expected. Elena was the kind of woman everyone in Cedarville loved, the soft-spoken, kind-hearted soul who lived simply and worked hard. Early summer wrapped the quiet countryside in golden sunlight, the air humming with the gentle buzz of bees and the chatter of neighbors sharing fresh pies and quiet smiles. Life here moved slow, steady, the kind of calm that fills your lungs without a single worry pressing down. She married Jack, the modest man with dirt under his nails and a calm in his eyes that felt like home. To the outside world, he was just a quiet guy, never flashy, never loud. He worked the fields, fixed old trucks, and came home to Elena's warm kitchen where the kettle sang softly. But beneath his easy smile, something darker hid in the shadows. Jack carried a secret no one could have guessed, the raw, dangerous truth of being the hidden heir to a ruthless crime family. Elena's days were a patchwork of simple joys, but then tiny things began to niggle at the edges of her perfect little life. A strange note slipped under their front door, written in flowing script. No sender. Jack's phone, always locked tight, buzzed with messages in code she couldn't understand. Late one night, she found a worn leather briefcase buried deep in the back of his closet, packed with papers and photographs of men she'd never met. Eyes cold and hard like predators, her heart hammered so loud it drowned out the summer night. The neighbors noticed, too. Whispered rumors slipped through the town like wildfire. Jack's got a past, someone muttered, more than just a farmer's son. Elena could feel the weight of eyes, heavy and suspicious, even if no one dared speak it loud. She confronted Jack one evening, voice shaking like dry leaves. He didn't deny it. Instead, he dropped a secret that left her breathless, a bloodline tied to power, betrayal, violence, things she had only heard about on the news. His hands trembled as he told her about a life he ran from, a shadow chasing him like a storm ready to break. Elena's world splintered. The man she loved was caught between the quiet she believed in and the dangerous legacy he could never escape. Tension simmered beneath their smiles. Every knock on the door, every strange call, twisted nerves tighter. She felt the quiet town's pulse turn sharp and jagged. Was this the price of love? Could she survive the storm Jack's past was about to unleash? Then, one evening, as the sun bled out behind the hills, Elena stood alone on their porch, the crickets falling silent like the calm before a tempest. Her phone rang, an unknown number flashing on the screen. She answered, breath caught in her throat. A voice, cold and low, whispered, "You don't know everything about Jack. And neither do you want to." The line went dead. Elena's hands clenched the phone so tight her knuckles turned white. The summer night felt suddenly too thick. What secrets was Jack hiding? How far would the past reach? And when the storm comes, will their love be enough to survive it? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Elena's heart pounded in her chest like a caged bird. The call had rattled her, left her breathless. She stared at the phone, still buzzing in her trembling hands, the cold voice circling in her mind. What was it that Jack was hiding? What darkness had she unknowingly embraced? As if the universe were mocking her, the front door creaked open, and Jack stepped inside, his silhouette framed by the fading sunlight. He wore the same gentle smile, the reassuring calm that had always soothed her fears. But now, every detail felt like a fragile mask hiding a storm. "Hey, everything okay?" His voice was steady, but Elena could see the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. She swallowed hard, the lump sticking in her throat like a stone. "Who are you talking to, Jack?" His breath hitched. The calm shattered around them. What do you mean? She raised the phone, the unknown number glaring back at them. I just got a call. Someone knows about you. About your past. Fear etched across his face, mixed with something darker. He approached slowly, eyes locked onto hers. She could feel the weight of his secrets pressing between them, a palpable tension. Elena, before he could finish, the sound of shattering glass echoed through the living room. They both jumped, adrenaline surging through them. A rock, thick and heavy, had crashed through their window, skittering across the floor and stopping at Elena's feet. Attached to it was a note, the paper stained with something dark and ominous. Jack rushed to her, concern flooding his features. But as she bent down to pick up the note, her fingers trembled uncontrollably. The words were cryptic yet chilling. You can't outrun your blood, Jack. We'll find you. Panic stabbed at her gut. Who did this? She gasped, her voice tight. She could feel her world tipping on its axis. Before Jack could reply, their porch light flickered ominously. Shadows danced across their yard, and the stillness of the night was suddenly disrupted by the growl of approaching cars. Her heart raced as the headlights blared towards them, cutting through the darkness like knives. Get inside. Jack grabbed her wrist, pulling her toward the safety of the house. But the door swung open, and two men in dark suits, faces cold, eyes glimmering with a distant menace, stepped onto the porch. Jack, one of them sneered, his gaze like ice. We need to talk. Elena's mind spun. Who were they? The truth of Jack's hidden past loomed larger than ever. She stumbled back, dragging Jack with her, seeking to shield herself from the confrontation she had never prepared for. But Jack's face went pale. I told you I wanted out, he shouted, voice raising above the thrum of her fear. Elena, listen to me. He turned to her, desperation etched deep in his features. You don't know what's at stake. I thought I could protect you. The ground beneath them felt unstable, like the town itself was imploding. The men stepped forward, their intentions clear, and just then, the second man revealed a glint of silver, a badge. Elena's breath caught in her throat. You're a cop? The betrayal twisted in her stomach. Everything she believed collapsed into shards of uncertainty. Not exactly, Jack hesitated, the storm of his past crashing into the present. The silence stretched, filled with danger and heartache. Elena's world was now one of chilling revelations, secrets tangled in betrayal. Could she trust Jack? As the night darkened, she faced a choice. Flee from a love that might destroy her, or stand strong beside the man she loved, who might not be the man he claimed to be. And outside, the night whispered dark truths, just waiting to unfold. Elena's heart raced, caught between disbelief and dread as the men on the porch advanced. Jack's expression shifted, fear knitted with desperation. You need to leave, he urged, turning to look at the cold-eyed intruders. But the man in the lead, his slicked-back hair gleaming like oil, smirked as he stepped closer. Nice try, Jack, but you can't run from who you are. The tension thickened in the air like a storm cloud hanging above them. Jack's eyes flickered to Elena, filled with panic. Just go inside, okay? She shook her head, refusing to abandon him. What's happening? Who are they? A dozen questions slammed against her mind, each one making her more frantic. We're not here to hurt anyone. The man's voice dripped with false assurance. We just need to talk about your father. Elena, don't listen to them, Jack shouted, his voice breaking. They're lying. A sudden shout erupted outside, drawing everyone's attention. A town vehicle screeched to a stop, kicking up gravel, and figures flooded out. Local deputies, Elena recognized them. They were friends, neighbors. Jack, get down, one of the deputies yelled, rushing toward the porch. The intruders, realizing their time was short, reached for something hidden beneath their jackets. Jack stepped in front of Elena, shielding her with his body. The world seemed to slow. The sound of the night blurred into a muffled echo, the air thick with fear. Then it happened. A single gunshot rang out, piercing the stillness. A sharp, loud crack, but it didn't come from the men on the porch. It erupted from behind the bushes lining the yard. In that split second, horror expanded. A figure, cloaked in darkness, emerged, gun raised. The first man collapsed, his expression frozen in shock, blood staining the porch like a red flag against pale wood. Elena gasped, hands flying over her mouth. Jack's eyes widened, filled with confusion and betrayal. "No!" he shouted, but another shot echoed. The remaining man sprang back, panic replacing his earlier bravado. He took off down the steps, only to collide with a deputy charging in with a determined fury. The two men wrestled, chaos erupting like wildfire around them. "Elena!" Jack reached for her, voice frantic, but she could barely process the scene unraveling before her. The figure in the bushes stepped into the lurking shadows, a calm descendant of turmoil. It was a woman, not just any woman. It was Natalia, Jack's sister, someone he had told her about in whispers and half-truths, a ghost from a past he tried to forget. "What are you doing here?" Jack's voice trembled, laced with equal parts relief and dread. "You shouldn't have come back." "There's no time for that," Natalia snapped, eyes blazing with urgency. "They're not the only ones looking for you. You have to listen. There's so much you don't understand." More sirens wailed, approaching like a warning bell, but the chaos had already spiraled beyond control. The seconds stretched and coiled like a tightrope about to snap. Elena's mind raced. Every revelation reshaped the picture she painted in her heart. Jack was tied to danger, to bloodlines she never imagined. What wasn't he telling her? What other secrets lay buried in this tangled mess? As the police closed in around them, sirens howled, but her heart beat louder. "Jack," she whispered, raw fear cutting her voice. "Who are you really?" Then, another gunshot rang out, not in defense this time, but to silence a secret that had been lurking in the dark. Everyone froze. The world narrowed down to a single point, a question etched in every heartbeat. Was the truth more dangerous than what she'd already uncovered? And as fear seeped into the night, Elena realized that the storm was just beginning. Elena stood frozen, pulse pounding in her ears as the chaos unfolded around her. The weight of Jack's unspoken truths pressed heavier than ever, and the sirens wailed through the night, like angry ghosts seeking to unveil secrets. But then it happened. A sharp crack shattered the air, different from the gunfire, a sound that pierced through the pandemonium and took everyone by surprise. The porch floorboards trembled beneath her feet as the sound of a loud crash echoed from the house. An unsettling stillness fell over the confrontation. Jack's sister, Natalia, glanced toward the sound with wide, panicked eyes. "What was that?" Jack shouted, shifting protectively in front of Elena, his hands instinctively clenched at his sides, the muscles in his jaw taut. But before anyone could respond, the door to their living room burst open, shattered hinges giving way to a tall figure draped in darkness. A man stepped through the doorway, his face hidden beneath a hood, a storm of shadows swallowing him. Whole, he held something, a metallic gleam in his hand that caught the moonlight. "Get back!" the figure barked, voice rough, like gravel crunching underfoot. Everyone flinched. The intruders were momentarily distracted, eyes flicking from Jack and Elena to this new threat. Jack took a step back, confusion etched across his features. "Who are you? What do you want?" But the man simply pointed toward Natalia, eyes narrowing. "You shouldn't have come here." Elena didn't understand, her heart drumming fast. What was happening? Who was this man? With a swift motion, he removed his hood, and horror washed over Elena. She couldn't believe her eyes. "Luke," she breathed, disbelief twisting her gut. Luke, Jack's best friend, the kind-hearted soul who had pulled Jack from the brink more than once, stood there. But this wasn't the same Luke she knew. "Stay away from them," he shouted, as urgent as the flashing blue lights that danced outside. "You don't know what you're walking into." Jack's expression crumbled. "Luke, what the hell? You shouldn't be here." But Luke stepped forward, shaking his head. "I had to. They're following you, all of you. I've seen what they're capable of." Elena looked to Jack, her heart sinking. What does he mean? Jack, what are you involved in? He opened his mouth to speak, but a shout from outside sliced through the tension. The police had arrived. Sirens blared, lights flashing like angry warning signs. Then everything turned. In a burst of sudden movement, Luke thrust his hand out. No, you have to go. Now. Before she could process the command, he pulled a revolver from his waistband, aiming it toward the men in suits. You're not taking him back. Not today. Everything froze. The night felt electric, the air thick with unspoken revelations. The men started to move, hands reaching beneath their coats. Jack lunged toward Luke, the desperation mirrored in his eyes. Don't, you can't do this. But the leader of the men let out a boisterous laugh, then stepped back briefly. You think you can stop this? You're a fool, Luke, and you have no idea what forces are at play here. Jack's breath hitched. What do you mean? The man grinned, a sinister smirk twisting his lips. He's not just your friend, Jack. He's been sent to bring you back to the family. You've got to choose your loyalty. Elena's heart stopped. What? He's part of this too? Luke's face twisted in anger. No, that's not how it is. I was trying to protect you both. From what? Jack pressed, voice strained. What's happening? That's just it, Luke blurted, fists clenched. There's a secret I've been keeping, one I didn't want to believe. Jack, you're not just the heir, you're the key to an empire. An empire I thought you ran from. Elena's world spun. The truth exploded in front of her, making everything else dissolve. Secrets, betrayal, danger, all swirling together like a storm. How deep did this run? As Jack's eyes widened, trying to grasp the weight of Luke's words, another gunshot rang out, a shot that seemed to change everything. Elena turned, breath hitching in her throat. Someone on the ground lay still, and just as Jack took a step forward, a body crumpled beside them. The shock rolled through them. Luke's face turned white. Oh no, it can't be. Get down, one of the deputies shouted, aiming in the direction of the intruders. The world spun again, the night was ablaze with chaos, urgency clawing at them. Elena dropped to the ground, instincts kicking in, but the truth loomed over her like a black cloud. What did Luke mean? What empire? The pulse of the night thrummed with deception and danger. And as the sirens wailed louder around them, she knew one thing for sure. Nothing would ever be the same again. She turned to Jack, eyes wide, heart racing. What are we going to do? But before he could answer, a voice echoed back, the rustling of leaves, the flow of distant footsteps closing in. Time was slipping through their fingers like sand. What dark destiny awaited them in this tangled mess? And could any of them survive the storm that was about to break? Elena's heart raced, pulse pounding in her ears as the chaos unfolded around her. The weight of Jack's unspoken truths was heavier than ever, and the sirens wailed through the night like ghosts demanding answers. Just when she thought the brick wall of reality couldn't thicken further, a loud crash rolled through the air from inside the house, shattering the momentary stillness with an unsettling vibe. What was that? Jack shouted, glancing back at their home, his face suddenly spiked with fear. Before anyone could answer, the front door blasted open. A tall figure burst through, a face shrouded in shadow, holding a gleaming weapon tightly. Get back! The man barked, voice harsh like a whip cracking through the night. Elena flinched, instinctively clutching Jack's arm, eyes darting from Jack to the men in suits, realizing the confrontation spiraled into something beyond. Her grasp. Who are you? Jack's voice trembled, confusion dancing in his eyes. Without removing his hood, the figure pointed straight at Natalia, his gaze drilling into her. You shouldn't have come here. That was when the air changed, all tension snapping tight like a bowstring drawn back. Jack's face shifted, eyes wide. Wait, you know her? Yes, the man growled. And I know you, Jack. You're living in a fantasy. It's time to wake up. Elena felt her breath hitch in her throat, heart punching against her ribs. What the hell is going on? We haven't much time, he warned, ripping off his hood, and all at once, The pieces of the puzzle clicked together painfully. She recognized him. It was Victor, Jack's estranged older brother, a ghost from the past that Jack had buried deep. Victor? Jack's voice cracked, a mixture of anger and wild disbelief. I thought you were dead. No thanks to you, Victor spat, eyes feral. I broke free, but they want you back in this life. You're too valuable, Jack. You're not just an heir. You're the key. Elena's head spun with realization, the truth slicing through her like a blade. Jack wasn't just tied to crime. He held a seat at its very heart. What do you mean? She whispered, feeling her world tighten around her. And then it came. A piercing scream erupted from behind her, dragging her instincts and focus back into chaos. A figure stumbled out from the shadows, hands bloodied, face twisted in terror. It was a woman, eyes wide as saucers, gasping for air. They're coming, she screamed. The two men in suits recoiled, fear flashing across their faces. Not her, one growled, eyes darting like a trapped animal. Not her. Elena's mind raced, heart racing with dread. Who is she? But the answer came too late. The woman collapsed, gasping for breath, clutching something tightly to her chest. A crumpled photograph, but slipped from her fingers, tumbling to the ground. Jack reached for it, confusion mingled with urgency. As he picked it up, his expression turned to stone. Elena peered over his shoulder. It was a photo of a younger Jack. What standing alongside him was not Natalia. No, it was a ghost of their shared childhood, but the woman beside him was someone she recognized. Someone who should have been lost to the past. No, that's impossible. Jack's voice turned cold. How does she have that? She's supposed to be dead. Elena felt every fiber of her being tremble. What's happening, Jack? As her voice broke, every scream for clarity echoed through the night, mixing with the darkness creeping closer. Outside, sirens wailed louder, and in the distance, headlights approached, illuminating the night like an approaching storm. But this storm had already erupted, spiraling into chaos, a twist of fate she never saw coming. And she suddenly knew. The blood that tied Jack to this hidden legacy ran deeper than she ever imagined. They weren't just fighting for safety. They were entangled in a family feud that stretched beyond the grave. As panic set in, a question burned in her mind. What if Jack wasn't trying to escape his past, but rather was being pulled back into something much darker without even realizing it? Elena squeezed Jack's arm tighter. The truth loomed larger than everything she had known. What would happen next? And when the tides would turn, would they stand together? Or would this be the unraveling of everything they held dear? Elena's heart raced as Jack's face fell, and the world seemed to tremble around them. The photograph fluttered to the ground, and for a frozen moment, time stood still. Jack was not just the man she loved. He was a key to a hidden legacy, shackled to dark truths of the past. The chaos around them faded, murmurs and sirens blending into a distant hum. It felt too big, too heavy. What do you mean, she's supposed to be dead? Jack demanded, glaring at the woman on the ground, each word cutting through the thick tension like a knife. Who is she? It's Clara, the woman gasped, her breath heavy with life and fear. Your mother. Elena's mind swirled. Everything she thought she knew shattered into a million pieces. Jack, your mother? But how can that be? Clara? Jack's voice was a whisper now, disbelief etched across his features. It can't be. But in the depths of the woman's eyes, something flickered. Recognition, pain, and a haunting familiarity. I didn't choose this, she croaked, struggling to push herself up from the ground. Before she could finish, a flash of something dark caught Elena's peripheral vision. The men in suits were regrouping, retreating into a formation. Fear knotted in her stomach, instincts screaming for them to escape. But before she could shout, the ominous shadow of figures emerged from the surrounding trees, stepping into the light. Not so fast, Clara, one of the men growled, a sick smile creeping across his lips, a voice that sent chills down Elena's spine. You've been a ghost too long. Run! Jack shouted, urgency slicing through the chaos. Elena grabbed Jack's arm, but confusion gripped her heart. What do we do? She gasped, torn between standing by Jack and the instinct to flee. She turned to Clara. We need to help her. No, stay back, Clara begged, a wild look in her eyes. She was shaking, fear intertwining with hope like tendrils in the wind. I came here to save you, Jack. What? He furrowed his brow, disbelief painting his expression. Save me from what? From who? And that's when it happened. The world shifted again. A gunshot rang out, echoing in the night. Jack's body jerked, a spray of red erupting from his shoulder as he stumbled back, eyes wide, shock crashing into him like a wave. Elena, he cried, collapsing to his knees, pain etched across his features. Time froze. Everything blurred. She rushed to him, heart racing. Jack, no, hold on. But her scream was drowned out by a cacophony of chaos, the sound of sirens, shouting, and then another figure stepping into the light. It was Luke's face that contorted in horror as he rushed past her, eyes glued to Jack. You shouldn't be here. Jack gasped, the blood soaking through his shirt, pooling beneath him. But Luke didn't reply. Instead, all eyes turned towards Clara, her face lined with both victory and despair. They wanted you back, Jack, to use.
But I thought I could take you away. Take me away.
Jack choked, panic swirling in his eyes as he struggled against his fading consciousness. From what? Before she could answer, another shot fired, and this one struck Clara in the chest. She gasped, eyes wide and incredulous, before crumpling to the ground beside Jack. Elena, Jack's voice shook her from disbelief. We have to go, now. As the shadows closed in, Elena felt the ground give way under her. Everything she thought she knew spiraled into chaos. The love she thought she shared ripped apart as secrets bled into the night. Jack, she cried again, reaching for him. But as her fingers brushed against his, their world exploded, police pouring onto the scene, flashing lights merging with darkness, and the revelation that everything was about to change. As she clutched Jack, blood staining her hands, she realized they weren't trapped in a hidden past anymore. They were caught in a living nightmare. And the question burned in her mind. Who could she trust when everything they knew shattered in one swift moment? Elena clutched Jack tightly, heart pummeling in her chest as panic washed over her. The police sirens grew louder, but the chaos was already spinning out of control, and every second felt like a lifetime. Jack's shoulder bled against her hands, warm and wet, but Clara, who had just revealed herself as Jack's mother, lay crumpled beside him.
Jack, stay with me,
Elena cried, shaking him gently, desperate for him to focus. But his sharp gaze flicked to Clara, pain brightening his features. Mom? Is it really you? Jack gasped, confusion etching deep lines in his face. Clara's breath was shallow, but she nodded slowly. I never wanted you to know. I wanted to protect you. Luke was fumbling with his phone, trying to call for help, but the urgency clawed at them. The men in suits were backing away, forming a tight line that froze the air around them. Then came the sound, the unmistakable crack of another gunshot. This time, aimed straight at Luke. He jerks backward, his eyes wide and terrified. But as he fell, something shifted in the air, a rippling tension that blanketed them all. Suddenly, everything stopped. From the shadows emerged another figure, tall, confident, dressed in all black, a face Elena had never seen but still caused her entire body to freeze. You really thought you could hide from me, Jack? The voice was smooth, like silk stretched across daggers. Who are you? Jack rasped, struggling to keep his voice steady as dizziness swept through him. The figure stepped into the light, revealing a face that sent chills racing down Elena's spine. It was a man she'd only seen in news reports, his face plastered on headlines about gang wars and blood feuds. A notorious mob leader, thought to be long gone. They've. And looking for you, little brother. Little brother? Elena's world tilted on its axis. Jack had a brother? Shock seized her. This man had to be lying. Jack didn't mention anything about a sibling, let alone one tied to the very darkness they were now surrounded by. But there was something in Jack's face, a recognition that pierced through her confusion. "Leo," Jack hissed, disbelief rippling through his voice. "I thought you were dead. You were supposed to be gone?" "I've been watching, waiting for you to come home," Leo interrupted, his voice laced with cruel amusement. "And now that you're here, it's time to reclaim what's rightfully ours." He gestured towards Clara, who lay gasping on the ground. "And, Mother, well, she's been quite the ghost, hasn't she?" Panic surged within Elena. She squeezed Jack's hand tighter, his body trembling as reality crashed around them. "What's happening, Jack? Who is he?" Leo chuckled, the sound like ice. "Oh, she doesn't know, does she? Nothing but a pawn in this game. Who knew love was so blinding, little brother?" "Shut up," Jack yelled, voice breaking as he looked at Clara, who was struggling to raise her head. "You're not taking anyone else from me." Then, in a dizzying blur, everything snapped into motion. Elena saw the terror in Luke's eyes as he staggered back, colliding with an officer rushing forward. There was a flurry of chaos, shouting, and the sound of hands reaching for their weapons. In that split second, everything changed again. Leo smiled, a dark grin that twisted the scene into something unrecognizable. "I'm not here to take. I'm here to offer a choice." He turned to the officers gathering in the yard. "Join me, Jack, and this can all be forgotten. Or fight, and you'll lose everyone you love." "Jack," Elena shouted, her voice frantic. "Don't listen to him. We don't know what that means." But the words slipped away as the chaos intensified. Jack's eyes flickered between Elena and Leo, haunted with confusion. "But, my family. Your family is blood. Yours is a choice," Leo said, stepping forward, confidence radiating from him, like he controlled the very fabric of fate. "Join me, and your life, your mother's, will be spared. What does little love know of your world?" And with that, Elena's heart plummeted. Trust crumbled, and the weight of Jack's choices bore down on them all. What could he do? What would he choose? The crowd pulsed with tension, eyes wide and breaths held. The question hung heavy in the air. Would love triumph over blood? Or would the dark legacy swallow them whole? Suddenly, she could feel the ground shifting. Everything was about to collapse beneath them, and in that moment, Elena realized, who could they become when faced with shadows of the past? And would Jack really choose the family he never wanted, or the love that could save them? The tension hung in the air thick as fog as Elena and Jack stood frozen in place. Jack's eyes darted between Leo and Clara, confusion brewing into a storm of disbelief. The sirens echoed louder, but all she could focus on was Jack's bleeding shoulder, his face pale beneath the strain of revelation. "What do we do, Jack?" she whispered, desperation clawing at her throat. Leo stepped forward, his smirk dripping with arrogance. "Join me, Jack. You'll have power, a place where you belong. You think you can outrun your blood? They won't let you go that easily." All eyes turned to Jack, the weight of his choice crashing down like an avalanche. Would he embrace this twisted legacy? But then the air shifted. From behind them, a kinking sound sliced through the night. A snap, then a crash. The front windows of their home shattered, glass flying out like confetti in a storm. A figure burst into view, a shadow darting from the darkness, and with a flash, something flew through the air. A small device landed at their feet, rolling before popping open with a hiss. Smoke erupted everywhere, enveloping them in a thick cloud. Shouts turned into frantic cries, silhouettes twisted in the haze. Confusion reigned. The world became a blur of flailing arms and shadowy figures. "Get down!" Jack shouted, his voice barely cutting through the chaos. He pulled Elena down, urgency sparking in his eyes. As They hit the ground, heartbeats pulsing in their ears. Everything spiraled. Suddenly, a voice cut through the din, a sharp command that sliced through the smoke. "Stop! Everybody down!" It was another cop, a familiar face Elena recognized from town, Officer Miles. But in an instant, something shattered through the tension. A deafening sound, a thunderclap that didn't come from the outside. It felt like an earthquake, knocking everyone off balance. Elena's breath caught in her throat. Then, chaos uprooted any sense of reason. Out from the smokestorm, a figure emerged. Tall, almost regal, stepping forward like a predator on the prowl. It was another woman, wearing a tailored suit, her presence commanding attention. "Leo!" she shouted, her voice fierce yet calm, the smoke swarming around her like a halo. "You've gone too far." In the confusion, Jack looked up, eyes narrowing. You're alive?" Elena's stomach twisted. Who was she? The woman moved closer to Leo, and in that moment, everything changed. Jack's jaw dropped, eyes widening in shock. "Vivian, you shouldn't be here." Vivian smiled, but it wasn't warm. It was cold, calculating. "I'm here to claim what's mine, Jack. You've always been too naive to see the truth." Elena gasped, panic flooding her. "What truth? What do you mean?" But Jack's eyes were riveted on Vivian, the shock morphing into anger. "You're part of this?" "Part of it," Vivian echoed, her laughter hollow. "I am this. I orchestrated it." "Jack, it's all been leading to this moment." Elena's heart raced. Was Jack entangled in a web that reached beyond Leo, beyond Clara? Had he underestimated everyone around him? "But your family, I thought you left us." Jack's voice cracked, confusion turning to betrayal. "Family? You never understood. Remember that." She stepped closer, deadly serious. "And now, if you don't join us willingly, I'll make sure the ones you love pay the price." And with that, the ground shifted beneath Elena's feet. She realized the truth lay deeper than she could fathom. This was bigger than Jack, bigger than everything she'd gathered. A chilling thought gripped her. Who was Jack really? The smoke began to clear, revealing all the stunned faces around her. The shadows twisted, revealing true intentions. She knew this was no longer about survival. It was a battle over a legacy soaked in blood and betrayal. Elena turned to Jack, heart pounding. What was he going to choose? And would love survive amidst the chaos where family and loyalty clashed? But then another sound rumbled in the distance, deep and resonant, a familiar roar of engines. More headlights blinked into view, and dread filled her. Were they running into an ever-tightening noose? The night echoed with unresolved questions, and fresh pain hung in the air, smothering hope in its wake. Would they emerge from this darkness, or was the dawn never meant for them? The night was spinning, out of control, chaos unraveling around them like a frayed rope. Jack's breath hitched, jagged and shaky as he locked eyes with Leo. "What do you want from me?" The question was raw, tearing through the tension like a scream in the dark. But before Leo could respond, another shot rang out, this time closer. Elena flinched, eyes darting to the side, heart pounding as she searched for the source. Shadows darted along the periphery of her vision, and anxiety twisted in her gut. Was this the end of everything? "Jack, get down," Luke shouted, pushing Jack further to the ground, just as a blast of glass exploded from a nearby window, sending shards flying like deadly confetti. A piercing scream erupted through the chaos, drowning everything else out. Elena's heart raced. She turned, scanning the confused faces in the crowd. Was it someone she knew? A metallic taste filled her mouth, the taste of fear. The sirens from the police cars outside blended into a cacophony of panic, amplifying the turmoil erupting inside. Then, from the smoke and confusion, a figure emerged, cloaked in darkness, another player in this twisted game. The crowd pressed back, fear rippling through them. The newcomer stepped forward, and Elena saw the glint of a badge. It was Officer Miles, the familiar face now marred by urgency. "Everyone, hands in the air, now," he commanded, voice booming. Order amidst chaos. Leo's eyes narrowed. You're barking up.
The wrong tree, Miles. This is family business. But Officer Miles didn't waver. Not anymore. You're all in too deep.
He scanned the scene,
Recognizing Clara on the ground, struggling for clarity. In an instant, everything shifted. The crowd turned, moving closer to see what was happening. That's when Elena realized she wasn't the only one who was questioning everything. Suddenly, amidst the noise, Clara caught Jack's gaze. You have to understand, Jack. They're after me because of you. It's the legacy. You have to break free. A ring of uncertainty slipped through Elena's heart. What legacy? But before they could process her words, the smoke dissipated, revealing the full scope of the chaos. The men in suits were making their retreat, eyes flickering with fear as the weight of their failed threat settled over them. Leo, however, remained steady, smirk softening into something sinister, watching them carefully as they edged back into the shadows. Don't think this is over, he whispered, voice dripping with malice. And then it happened. The ground shook beneath them, and with a silence that fell like a curtain, everything changed. A massive explosion erupted in the distance. Lights flickered as the earth trembled. Elena gasped, eyes wide as a cloud of dust and smoke billowed into the sky, blotting out the stars. What was that? Jack shouted, panic flashing across his features. But as the dust settled, another figure emerged from the chaos. A woman clad in tactical gear, determination radiating off her like waves of heat. Move, she yelled, charging through the crowd with fierce purpose. Elena squinted, her heart thrumming. This didn't feel right. Wait, who are you? But the woman had eyes only for Jack. She pointed at him. They need you, Jack. You have to choose now. What do you mean, choose? Jack asked, confusion blending with fear. The woman hesitated, but urgency seeped into her stance. There's more at play here than blood. You've been lied to. It's not just about your family. Your mother, Clara. She's not who you think she is. Jack's face drained of color. What? Elena felt a chill creeping down her spine. What do you mean? She's not the victim you've believed all along. She's at the heart of everything you're running from. The shock reverberated like thunder, knocking the breath from her lungs. Mom? Jack's trembling voice cracked. What have you been hiding? But before Clara could answer, the woman continued. You're caught in a deadly game, Jack. Choose your side wisely, or lose everything. Elena's heart sank. The ground felt unsteady beneath her, and she could see Jack's world crumbling. Trust, loyalty, everything was ripping at the seams. The air vibrated with questions. Was Clara truly a victim or a puppet master? And what was Jack about to do in a world built on betrayal? And just as Jack opened his mouth to reply, the night erupted again, a sudden surge of blinding lights as reinforcements flooded the scene. The game was just beginning and the lines were drawn. As the dust settled, she knew they were on the brink of destruction. But which side would Jack pick? And who would emerge from this shattered chaos unscathed? Elena felt her heart stop as the chaos erupted around them. The air crackled with tension. Jack's wide eyes flickered between his mother Clara and Leo. What do you mean she's at the heart of everything? He asked urgently, desperation leaking into his voice. Vivian stepped closer, her presence imposing. You're an heir to power, Jack. You must embrace what you are, or risk losing it all. We're not doing this, Jack replied, shaking his head, igniting a storm of defiance within himself. I won't be a part of your legacy, your bloodshed. The crowd held its breath as a new wave of sirens approached, echoing in the tense air. Everything felt on the cusp of escalation. But just then, Clara struggled to rise, pushing herself against the ground with shaking hands. Jack, listen to me. They will use you. You have to break the cycle. At that moment, panic fueled Jack's resolve. He crouched beside her, blood-stained fabric clinging to his skin. Mom, I need to know. What are you hiding? Tears welled in Clara's eyes, mingling with the dirt on her cheeks. They'll destroy everything you love. You can't let them win. Before she could say more, a deafening explosion echoed. One of the police cars had ignited, sending shards of metal flying. "Everyone down," Officer Miles shouted, determination accentuating his voice. Elena pulled Jack close as the fire lit up the night, casting frantic shadows across their faces. The world spun, a dizzying dance of flashes and screams. "Let's go," Luke yelled, gripping Jack's arm, signaling for them to move. Jack glanced at Elena, and for the first time, something passed between them, a shared understanding that transcended words. They bolted, fleeing the chaos of gunshots and the encroaching dark legacy. Muffled shouts trailed behind them, but they focused ahead, their escape now dependent on pure instinct. Through the billowing smoke and chaos, they pushed toward the edge of the forest, hearts pounding like wild drums. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the trees, a woman clad in tactical gear, eyes fierce with urgency. "Jack," she shouted, her voice commanding, yet anxious. "You can't let them control you. Your destiny is your own." "Who are you?" Jack demanded, eyes wide, still grappling with the surreality of it all. "I'm your ally," she insisted, stepping closer, shifting the gravity around them. "We need to go." But before she could lead them deeper into the woods, Leo emerged from the haze, flanked by menacing shadows. "Run all you want, but you'll return, Jack. The truth always comes home." With a final glance, Jack knew. The scars embedded in him were not just from blood. He carried the weight of choices, of love that bound him as tightly as chains. "Enough!" Jack shouted, voice filled with resolve that smothered fear. "I choose my own path." In a rush of adrenaline, he grabbed Elena's hand, and they took off into the trees, weaving through branches and shadows. With every step, he felt lighter, stripped of the burden that once clung to him. As the structure of the past crumbled behind them, Jack turned to Elena, the fire in his eyes sparking hope. "I'm not who they said I was. I can be more. We can be more." They stumbled across a narrow road, sirens fading into the distance, allowing the quiet of the countryside to drape over them like a comforting blanket. The stars winked above, a beacon of possibility. "We'll figure this out. Together," Elena promised, squeezing his hand tighter. As dawn approached, the horizon painted with shades of orange and gold, Jack pulled Elena close, breathless. "No matter what happens, I'll protect you. I've learned blood doesn't define me, love does." They embraced, the warmth of their connection igniting a new flame. The storm within them quelled, replaced by a faint pulse of hope that whispered they could rise. In that moment they knew, the fight ahead wouldn't be easy, but they had each other. Together, they would create their own legacy, one not bound by darkness, but illuminated by the purity of their choices, forged in love and resilience. And with the shadows receding, they took a step forward, embracing the dawn of a new beginning. But before we close this chapter, this is the moment to show your support. You have to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss any of the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. Your engagement makes everything possible. Thank you for being part of this journey.